Statistics Canada just dropped the May labor force survey, and on the surface it honestly looks like good news because British Columbia added 25,000 jobs in a single month, and the unemployment rate right here in Vancouver actually dropped to 6.4%. If you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for Vancouver's job market to recover before you make a move on a place, I need you to watch this whole video because the number that just came out is about to get spun two completely different ways, and only one of them is actually true. StatsCan just dropped the May labor force survey, and on the surface it honestly looks like good news because BC added 25,000 jobs in a single month, and the unemployment rate right here in Vancouver actually dropped to 6.4%. But underneath that headline, youth unemployment in this province climbed to 15.3%, which a Business Council of British Columbia says we have not seen outside of the pandemic and the global financial crisis in 2008. And here's the part that nobody connecting these dots on the news is going to tell you, because that one number, the young person number, is quietly the number that decides where housing pricing in this city is going to go next. My name is Kyle Mark. Thanks for checking out this video. If you're enjoying it, give it a like and subscribe. If you want to book a call with me, I'm extremely active in the Vancouver market. The call link is in the first link of the description. Now, the spin you're going to hear over the next week is that the job market is healing and the worst is behind us, and I'm not here to tell you that it's a lie, because at the top of the market that is genuinely true. The reframe I want to give you is that a recovery at the top of the income ladder does very, very little for the bottom of the housing market, and the bottom is exactly where the cracks are showing up right now. We're going to cover three things here. First, why this job headline is a lot more misleading than it looks. Second, what youth unemployment actually does to the floor underneath condo prices. And third, exactly what I would do right now, whether you were buying or you are selling in this crazy Vancouver market. Let me start with why the headline is hiding more than it is telling you. Number one is the headline versus the reality. Yes, the province added jobs last month, and yes, the Vancouver rate ticked down. And if that was the whole story, I would be telling you to relax. But here's the context that 1 month snapshot leaves out. In the first 4 months of this year, British Columbia lost more than 40,000 jobs, with about 39,000 of those gone in February and March alone, and another 4,300 in April. So one strong month does not undo 4 soft ones, it just slows the bleeding. And when you look at where the gains actually went, only about 7,000 of the new jobs across the country went to young people, while the losses here landed hardest in retail and accommodation, which are exactly the sectors that employ the people trying to buy their first place. Nationally, the unemployment rate sits at 6.6%, and the country added 88,000 jobs. So Canada is doing a little better than we are, and that gap matters more than you would think, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Number two is the part most people get wrong about jobs and housing, which is that elevated unemployment does not crash the prices the way people expect. It freezes the bottom of the market. People who are not sure about their income do not pull the trigger on a purchase, and that hesitation has been baked into this market for a while now. We are sitting in a buyer's market with close to 8 months of inventory and a sales to active listings ratio down around 13%, which means buyers have negotiating leverage they have not had in years. And here's the thing, that leverage has not produced a massive price crash. It has produced a slow grind where the overall benchmark across Metro Vancouver is down about 6.2% year over year and sitting right around $1.1 million. But that grind is not even across the board, and that is the whole story. The segment bleeding the most is apartments, where the benchmark is down almost 8% year over year, the worst of any property type, and still slipping month over month, while the bigger homes are holding. And the reason apartments are leading the decline down is the same reason youth unemployment matters, because the condo buyer and the entry-level buyer are the same person, and that person's job is the least secure one in the whole economy right now. Number three is the floor itself, and this is the part I really want you to sit with. The entry level of any housing market only has a floor if first-time buyers keep stepping in to replace the ones who move up, and first-time buyers need two things: a job and the confidence to commit to a 30-year mortgage. Right now, this generation has neither. That youth number I opened with is the highest we have seen outside of 2 genuine crises, and the Business Council says youth unemployment in this province is down 14% compared to where it was in 2019. And it gets worse because they are not just unemployed, they are leaving. Gavin Dew, who is an MLA out of Kelowna, pointed out that more than 7,000 young people left BC in the last year, and a big chunk of them are going to Alberta, where the jobs pay more and the housing cost is a fraction of what it does here. Honestly, who can blame them? And the reason I am telling you this is that the investor already walked away from the entry-level condo market a while ago, so first-time buyers were the only thing holding that floor up, and now they are getting hollowed out as well. I sat down with a young couple a couple weeks ago, both working, both smart, and we ran the real numbers on an $800,000 condo, which is roughly the entry point in the city. 10% down is $80,000 in cash plus closing costs, and to qualify under the stress test, they needed a household income somewhere around $170,000. For this particular couple, they luckily did have the funds, but because of this consumer confidence, because of job data, because the overall pressures here in BC, they decided to put a pause here on their British Columbia search and have moved their sights to Alberta. And I also have a brother of mine who is also thinking the same thing. So even those who can afford to purchase in this market are looking at other options, which is not a good thing here for the real estate market in Vancouver. Number 4 is the split screen this is creating, and it is the most important practical thing in the entire video. Watch what is actually holding value and what is not. Detached homes across the region are down on the year, but month over month they actually ticked up slightly, and townhouses did the same, while apartments went the other way. So the market is splitting in two right in front of us. A clean, updated detached home in a good pocket, something a buyer can move into without pouring money in, that is still selling. And in the last week, I was in 2 multiple offers in North Vancouver in the detached segment because there's real scarcity there. We are tearing down single-family homes across the east and south side and putting up fourplexes and multiplexes in their place, which means we are actually building a fewer of those traditional detached homes than we used to. So the good ones are getting rarer, and if you want to buy a new one, you're having to pay upwards of $3 million and more in Vancouver. Meanwhile, a small investor-grade condo in a saturated building with nothing special about it, that unit sits because the buyer who used to scoop it up either lost their job security or left for Alberta. I want to be careful here because this is not me saying condos are a bad asset. Plenty of them are excellent, but the generic ones with no edge are the ones with no floor right now, and the ones with proper floor plans are actually selling. Now, I do not want to leave you sitting in the negative because there is a legitimate other side to this, and I would be doing you a disservice if I went full doom and gloom, which is not how I read this market anyways. The fact is, Vancouver did add jobs last month and our local rate did come down, and that is real. The Bank of Canada has been holding its policy rate, which gives buyers the one thing they have been starving for, which is stability and the ability to actually plan a purchase. The property transfer tax exemption for first-time buyers now reaches up to $835,000 for the full exemption, and partial relief up to $860,000, which can put thousands of dollars right back in a young buyer's pocket at closing. And that lines up almost perfectly with where condo prices have fallen to. Healthcare and tech are still growing as employers here, so if you have a stable income and a long enough timeline, this softness is not a reason to hide. It is a window, and a window closes. Here's the thing I cannot get passed through, and I think is the real story underneath all of these numbers. We are watching an entire generation get squeezed from both ends at the same time. Priced out of the housing market on one side and pushed out of the job market on the other, to the point where the cleanest financial decision for a lot of talented young people is to pack up and leave the city they grew up in. And that is not just a sad headline, it is the single biggest threat to the foundation of this housing market, because a city that cannot keep its young workers is a city that is slowly removing the buyers who are supposed to hold up the bottom 10 years from now. And that is the part that 1 month jobs report will never show you, and it is the part I would be watching more closely than any single rate decision. So let me give you that one number I promised you, the one that actually tells you whether the floor is holding, and it is not the unemployment rate because that number is loud and it lags. The number I watch is the sales to active listings ratio in the condo segment specifically. Citywide, it is sitting around 13%, and in a lot of the condo pockets, it is lower than that. And historically, once that ratio slips under 12% and stays there, you get sustained downward pressure on prices. And once it climbs back up over 20, buyers are competing again and the floor is back. That ratio, not the jobs headline, is your early warning system, and you can check it every single month when the board releases its numbers. Now let me mirror all of this into what you actually do with it, because there are really 2 things people are watching. If you're a buyer with a stable income and a timeline of 5 years or more, this is a window worth taking seriously. You've got close to 8 months of inventory, prices off 6 to 8% depending on the segment, and a transfer tax break that lines up with entry-level pricing. So step 1 is get your pre-approval locked in. Step 2 is target the segments with the most leverage, which is condos and townhomes right now. And step 3 is stop trying to call the exact bottom, because if your timeline is long enough, you do not need the bottom. You need the right place at a fair number. And if you're a seller, especially in that condo or townhouse segment, the time for wishful pricing against what you hope it is worth is over. And it has been over for a couple of years. Buyers in this market are informed, they have options, and they walk away from anything that does not make sense against what is actually sold. So step 1 is price to the sold comparables, not the active ones, and not the dream, and not leaving room for negotiation. Step 2 is make the place genuinely move-in ready, because that is what is selling. And step 3 is accept that no amount of marketing rescues an overpriced listing, because the most beautiful brochure in the world does not move a number the buyer has already decided is too high. Vancouver's job market and Vancouver's housing market are telling you 2 completely different stories right now, and the people who do well over the next year are the ones who stop reading the headlines and start reading the floor.